Welcome back to the Terps of the Beast Coast. Today, I'm hanging out with Joe. Joe, man, if you don't know who Joe is, you're going to get to know who Joe is. This young man, I have seen him put in his advocacy work here in Massachusetts. He left us for a little bit, and then when he came back even more vicious than before. So, Joe, how you doing, man?
What's up, man? Thank you so much, Terps of the Beast Coast. It's an honor to be here. And I've known you personally for a while, too. We've done a few projects in the past, and it's amazing to see this podcast up and going and try to get some resources, information out to the people.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying to help those who want to get into the green space and understand what are the steps that it takes to get into the green space. And, you know, the things that you're doing right now, we want to definitely highlight that. But before we get deep into that, what I want to do today is just maybe if you can give the people a little background of, you know, what you've been doing, or, you know, what's going on with you right now.
Yeah. So, just an intro for anybody that doesn't know me. My name is Joey Gilmore. Started out as a student activist for the campaign to legalize marijuana when I was a student at UMass Boston. Born and raised in Boston, and you know, they have these city council hearings and these state house hearings that they're creating the laws for legalization. And so during that time, I realized, you know, we need to get people to show up to these hearings. We need to organize the people, especially if they're affected by the war on drugs, because this industry is going to make billions of dollars. And there should be a retribution paid to those communities and individuals. And so right now, currently, I took my sort of experience as an activist, and I'm now at City Hall. I work as the Cannabis Fund Manager at the City of Boston. And essentially, I'm tasked with providing grants for people who qualify for the Boston Equity Program so they can have capital to start their business. And, you know, just trying to stay active in letting people know what resources are available, how to go about getting a license in the cannabis industry in Massachusetts, you know, where to start and all that. And yeah, again, here if you guys have any questions.
Oh man, that's so great. Thank you for the work that you're doing. In regards to that, what made you jump into the cannabis industry? I understand that you've seen there was a need for the information, but is there anything else besides that? Is there a love for the plant?
Oh, love the plant, but also love the people around me who have gotten into stuff because of the plant. You know, I have a brother who he got expelled from school. He caught a charge. I got friends that I've grown up with who have caught in different charges, and that stopped them from progressing in life in some way. And then I just see the opportunity that this industry will bring to people, you know, that I came up with, that maybe they're not doing so good, but this industry could bring them an opportunity, or they could learn a skill, or they could benefit their health in some way. So I just want to get the information out to the people who were there for me. And, you know, this war on drugs is the reason and the cause for many of the issues that we have in this country. So I feel like this is a fight that we all need to be a part of. And, yeah.
Nice, man. Well, thank you for being part of the war. And the reason why I say thank you is because, you know, you're a young man, and, you know, the game in regards to this war has just started, and we're going to need some longevity to make sure it goes to where it needs to go, because as you know, things are now progressing where larger entities are now getting into this industry, and they're kind of leaving the legacy operators behind. So you kind of touched on what you're doing in regards to the grant work that you're providing for SC in Boston. And then pretty much on that, any other products or services you guys are doing besides the grant work that people can reach out to you on?
So additionally, aside from the grant program, you get a $15,000 grant currently. We are expecting and we are hoping that people will advocate for higher grant amounts. You know, we could potentially get to 50,000, we could get to 100,000, but it's going to take the people and constituents letting the city council at Boston know that there's a need for it. So there's the fund, but there's also the technical assistance program. that my partner, Aaliyah Forrest, the Cannabis Business Manager, is in charge of. And essentially what that is it's a team of service providers that the city of Boston has that will specialize in accounting, your finance, your legal, marketing, hiring, different aspects of your cannabis business that you can go to a contractor and learn exactly what you need for your application.
Nice.
That's just another service that if you're qualified as Boston Equity, will gain access to.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Thank you so much for that, what you guys are doing. So right now, if somebody was like, wow, Joe has a great job, I want to get into that. What are 5 tips that you can offer somebody if they wanted to get involved in regards to getting into advocacy work or get into, some work with you personally?
Yeah, I would try to name 5 off the top of my head. I can already tell you 1 is showing up to events, showing up to cannabis industry, but specifically cannabis community events. There are people in the cannabis community has existed in Massachusetts for decades. And now currently there are a lot of, events that you can go to learn different aspects of like licensing or find out, come to events where there are applicants that are in the process for a business and you can learn from them, network with them. So, there's the trade shows, the New England Cannabis Convention coming up. I should definitely check that out. I'll be there. So 1 tip is going to be events, showing up and networking with people. Number 2, I would say if you want to get a job in the industry or if you want to work in the industry in some way, you have to check out the social equity program. The state of Massachusetts, they have this program where you can apply it. The application is going to open up again in June. But essentially, if you qualify, then they will provide you with training on how to get a cannabis license or help connect you to a job. And it also is just good standing. It's just good to have that certification because it sets you apart from the rest of people who are trying to get into the cannabis industry. So if you qualify, definitely get that if you can.
Nice.
Number 3, what can you do to get in the industry? You gotta talk to Terp. No, because he knows the industry, knows the community. He's been around the block, and very knowledgeable. And so, continue to listen to Terps of the Beast Coast because I guarantee they're going to be amazing guests and just information that's really valuable. Let's see, number 4. What's going to help everybody get into the industry? What's going to help you? If you want to talk to me, you can send me an email. You get lunch or something if you're cool. Is joseph.gilmore@boston.gov. And if you have any questions regarding the cannabis licensing process or equity program in Boston, you can hit me up.
Nice.
And one more, man. I don't know.
That's plenty enough. I appreciate you, shouting out my podcast, man. Thank you so much. We're trying to provide some kind of information for people to understand, that they can make the switch if they decide to. And if they decide to, there's numerous avenues that they can choose. You necessarily don't have to work with the plant. There's other auxiliary options that you could do. So the industry needs, just like any other business, auxiliary work. So, for example, maybe you might need print work done. So maybe you might need to get into custom printing just specifically for cannabis. Maybe you might want to look into creating some kind of product from hemp. There's so many things that you could do, but it's just a matter of what your direction is and what you want to do.
And I try to let people know, what do you do in your normal life now, and try to apply that to the cannabis industry. Graphic designer, or you're a plumber, or you got some contractor work that can help with cannabis business, you could absolutely get involved.
Definitely, man. So that's great tips, man. We appreciate that. So as far as that goes, you did mention about a grant and some type of funding. Can you dive into that? What's going on right now recently that they have allowed, or there's a new kind of funding for people such as social equity, where they can match the funds or they can provide them a certain amount? I'm just not sure what it's all about.
Yes. All right, so I believe what you're referring to, and this is separate from the Boston Equity Program, separate from the Boston Equity Fund.
Right.
This is the state of Massachusetts actually recognized that there's a need for social equity applicants to have capital because there are no banks currently. It's federally illegal. You can't just go to a bank and take out a huge loan,
right,
for your cannabis business, and so. The state of Massachusetts, their idea is to create this cannabis social equity loan fund where it would provide a zero interest loan. And the problem right now with a lot of applicants in the cannabis industry is they're beholden to really bad negotiation deals with investors. And investors own large pieces of their business, their ownership. And so, they have the power to make decisions. However, if you have a loan and you have a large enough loan that's no interest, you can have much more ownership and not have to rely on the investors and get in those predatory agreements.
100%, man.
That bill is currently, it's still in legislation. It's advancing. I believe it needs to get signed by the governor, but there's strong support from the CCC, from the city of Boston. I feel confident that will move forward, but we need to always strengthen and see how we can improve it.
So what is it that we need to do as Massachusetts residents? What should we do to make sure that this bill goes forward? What help us out, man. Give us some information, Joe.
Yeah. So I would say in terms of trying to push state legislation, there are many ways that you can go. One sort of easier, familiar way that people could do in their neighborhoods is reach out to whoever is representing them on the city council level and have a conversation with them, and then just let them know this is an opportunity for our neighborhood, for the people who are living in our community, and it would be in your best interest as a politician to support this because it's going to help our community. So I think that's one way, is just talking to your local politicians. Another way, calling directly the state, the Joint Committee on Marijuana Policy. If you just Google them, they have a contact list, and you can leave them an email saying, "Hey, I support the Social Equity Loan Fund." And so that's another way that you can do, is to direct lobbying and calling.
Okay. You know what I'm going to ask you to do once we wrap up this podcast? If you can send me that info, I'll make sure I have it in the description so they can get to it,
Yeah. I didn't know what lobbying was like a few years ago. And lobbying is used by multi-million-dollar corporations to set the regulations in a way that's going to favor them.
100%.
We have to be aware that there are companies doing this all the time, and the community has the ability to lobby on the community's interests to make it so it's more accessible. And so, that's what we got to do, I think.
Yeah. Talk about it, man. So, you just harped on a very important subject matter where the community has to get involved. And you're saying that there is these larger entities that already been lobbying forever. So they're going to be in favor in regards to whenever new things roll out for cannabis, as far as maybe social consumption. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that retailers don't want delivery operators because what it does is cut out the need to rely on retail, the affiliation of the retail. If you're a social equity wholesale delivery operator, all you need to do is buy from a cultivator or from a manufacturer, and you can have your own fire out the dispensaries. And so, I don't know, that was a tangent, but social consumption, that's another license type that is in the process of moving forward with that same social equity bill. They fused the bills. So the social equity loan fund and the social consumption license fixed.
Wow.
So pretty soon, we're going to see people starting to file applications for social consumption, and I know the regulations aren't really like most ideal for consumers. Like they can't smoke indoors. It's just vapes. And they're limiting the THC milligrams, I believe, to 5 milligram servings.
Wow.
So lots of work to be done on that front, like if we really want what we want.
I mean, at the end of the day, okay, it's 5 milligrams. I'll just sit here and do about 100 of them. Maybe I'll get there.
Right.
But that's probably what they want you to do. They want you to spend this absorbent amount when you go into these lounges or consumption by making it these smaller amount. I think, I don't know what the game is behind that, because I would think, if we had the option of either delivery or going to the dispensary, if your product is good, you don't have to worry about a new business coming online. If your product is not good, of course you're going to worry,
Right. It's the brand loyalty and growing the fire. As opposed to growing cardboard.
And that's it, so a quality product will have quality customer. You got shit product, they're going to go where the ship sails, and that's that.
Yes.
So let's talk about you. What's your mission in the work that you're doing, and what is your higher purpose of that mission?
My mission is to provide the most help and support to the people around me as much as possible. I want to help people that are struggling that I know. I want to, there's so much money that's like being flowed through, like there's like invisible economic war going on right now. And we need to find a way to divert some of those funds so that they make it to the people who are targeted. So my main mission, aside from bringing people opportunity, is to also create an industry that is much more accessible than it is right now. It takes millions and millions of dollars to get into the cannabis realm. And so what I would like to do is, coalition as this can't happen through individual people. It has to take, everybody.
Right.
Business owners, the consumers, everybody come together and say it shouldn't be this crazily expensive to get a cannabis license to operate. There has to be other ways.
There's so many other states that are online, and you don't have to spend that much, and they're up and running, and the state's doing all right.
Maine, so they can sell cannabis from their house as a caregiver.
Right.
And I think that cuts down huge costs, because like to get a cannabis, like a building, is so expensive, but if you can do it at your house, that's a real opportunity that I would love to see in Massachusetts.
Definitely, I can see that as well. Or lower the cost of entry. I think it's $2,500 in Oklahoma.
Wow. that's better.
Yeah, man, you just bam and good to go. So I mean, what we have to look at is, stop trying to gouge the social equity or the economic empower applicant. Don't gouge them, because in turn they're trying to create a business to build in the community in the state. So they're going to be paying the taxes. You're going to get your cut. But what we're doing is gouging right now by asking for all these observed percentages based on this. The HCAs have been a battle. Now towns are starting to finally give them where you don't need to have a building location in order to get a HCA. But before, it was like, oh, okay. Especially when I came on board, I was like, right, where am I going to get money to rent a building to say this is where it's going to be? And then I can go to the town, and then I got to do 6 months of meetings.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, man, I got bills, man. What am I going to do? Live in a cardboard box until it's ready?
Right.
So, I mean, the game was rigged from the inception, and the game is starting to look like it's going to, have a little bit of a playing field. But also what has happened is a loss is time, right? Time already lost can never be regained. So, social equity, economic empowerment program rolled out about, 3, almost 4 years now. So That's a lot of time I've lost. Where if we had just did it, where other states say, okay, you got 2,500, pick your license, go to town, get your billing, keep rolling, and that's where we need to be. But that's not how it is here because we're in a Commonwealth state, and it's a little bit different than most states because each little town has their own way and mannerism versus where if the law of the land is the law of the land, like say maybe Florida, the law of the land is law of the land. No, it's not. It's a little bit different here. The law of the land is within Boston, then outside of Boston, you got a different land of law. So
357 of them.
That's right.
Municipalities and mass.
Other than that, sorry, I went on a little tangent there.
Cool.
Let's talk about what are some of the challenges you came across trying to help the legacy people get into this, market where we call cannabis.
Okay. All right. So I know that one thing off the bat is, I believe, from my understanding, if you have a felony conviction, then you're barred from participating in the cannabis industry. And so, people have run into that, and one thing that they can do is go and get their records sealed or expunged. There's a process that is very simple. You just get your Corey, you pull up your Corey, and then you send in the form. And if you're eligible, then you can get your record expunged. And so I know people who have actually done that, and then they were allowed to work at a dispensary. I know one guy, he expunged his record, and then he was allowed to do a cannabis license. And now he has an application for a cannabis business. So for those who have those rap sheets or records, just don't let it stop you, because there are ways that you can get around it. Another thing, just for the legacy market, like you said, like we all know, it's just mad money. It's too much money to get in there for normal people, at least right now. And just say general knowledge. I think that like growers are more kind of underground, kind of reserved a little bit, so they don't really want to come out to the networking events. But there's like a plethora, I think, of information and resources, people that could help you. Just don't be shy. Get out and meet people.
Got you.
Yeah.
Nice, man. So as far as that goes, what's the biggest role for social media right now when you guys are utilizing that?
Huge. Well, City of Boston doesn't utilize it as much as I would like them to. I'm like big on graphic design and media production, making little videos and stuff. But it's definitely the wave. It's like, that's how we did MRCC. That's how we got the people to come out to show up to video, to come to the meetings, because there's live streams, because there's like cool graphics to like recap videos. Nobody's just going to want to read an article because it's so dry, and like you have to get into the technology space if you're going to do anything, really, I think.
Excellent, man. Excellent. What I'm going to do is change it up just a little bit. You are on my show. Generally, I have people who are more into the extraction or more of the growing side, or more hands-on with the plants. And we had a little discussion earlier. So let's get into the Terps of the Beast Coast questions here. The Terp Nation want to know, when it comes to flowers, what's your top three?
Oh, yeah. So we went over them a little earlier. So first one, like I said, shout out to Uncle Pete. Shout out to me. It's the month of gelato. So gelato is going to be number one. It's the whole month. It's just all gelato this month. So number one, gelato. Number two is a strain called cornbread. It's a strain that when I worked at the dispensary, it was my favorite strain. It's nice and purple indica. It smells really great. Real big, dense nugs. And cornbread. Check it out if you haven't ever seen it. It's cool. The last one, last but not least, is probably one of the champions in the game, the Sour Diesel. The real one, back from like the 2000s. I was still, I'm not going to say. But I really enjoy Sour Diesel. I believe, is that indica? I don't really know. I feel like it transfers.
It's a hybrid sativa, mostly. Yeah, but the way, if you grow it right, it can be very very relaxing if you you harvest the trichomes at the right time. Yeah. So one more thing we want to jump into with the Terp Nation is when it comes to concentrates, right? Do you prefer solvent or solventless? So,
All
which
right.
one do you
So here's the
prefer?
thing. I'm down. I'm cool on dabbing and everything. I honestly
Right.
cannot tell you the difference between solventless and solvent. I
Uh,
I don't even have a dab rig. I got bong,
mm.
but I haven't ventured into the realm of extracts as much as I
All right, so today is a teaching day. It's great. So when we say solvent and solventness, and it does debate because some people say water is still considered a solvent, but when I'm talking solventless, this means that you haven't used any kind of chemical solvent. So the process could be either through ice water extraction, which is bubble hash, and then once that hash is harvested, then you can press it into rosin, or you can do what we say, you can press the flowers itself and you can make flower rosin, or you can
Which one's better for more production and quality, would you say? Frozen? I mean, pressed flour or pressed bubble hash?
So the thing about it is there's two different worlds there, because now you're gonna let me jump into this here. So there's two different worlds. No, because I have to give you a full explanation so you can make a decision. But there's two different worlds. So when we say bubble hash, right? Bubble hash is basically where you use ice water extraction. You remove the resin glands from the material, and those resin glands are then dried, and when they're dried, people then press it and make the rosin, right? Now, you're asking me what's the difference between that and fresh frozen?
Right.
So fresh frozen is basically...
sorry. What I was asking the difference between was, what do you think is better?
Which one's...
Bubble hash or pressed flour?
Okay, sorry. So pressed bubble hash. So here's going back to that. So the bubble hash, we remove the trichome, so everything is pure. Pretty much on that, all the terpenes, everything is still captured. The only thing that might slip out is any of the monoterpenes from the water. But other than that, you kind of have everything there. Now, when you move over to flour, what's going to happen is you're going to put this flour into a screen, and you're going to heat these plates, and you're going to press it, and it's going to secrete the oil that comes out of it. Now, there's two differences because, one, you're pressing the flour itself. The other one, you're just pressing the resin gland itself.
Right.
So, which one is better? I'm always gonna say bubble means everything is still captured. The only thing that might slip out is any of the monoterpenes from the water. But other than that, you kind of have everything there. Now, when you move over to flour, what's going to happen is you're going to put this flour into a screen, and you're going to heat these plates, and you're going to press it, and it's going to secrete the oil that comes out of it. Now, there's two differences because, one, you're pressing the flour itself. The other one, you're just pressing the resin gland itself.
Right.
So, which one is better? I'm always gonna say bubble hash because that's the purest form because you removed everything.
Concentrated, and you're getting less plant material out, right?
Well, again, if you know what you know with flour, you can, if you know what you're doing, you can put a double filter on your flour on what you're pressing, and you can keep some of the lipids out, so you really just get the oil. But man, to really get the purest form, it's going to have to be where if you wash the resin and your resin is 6-star, like just pure melt, and you don't need to press it, then that is the purest medicine.
That's how to describe it, 6-star?
So 6-star is the cleanest format as far as with me, right?
I got to find some 6-star.
There's a lot of things that are kind of 6-star, but they're not really 6-star because 6-star is where there is no filtration of the resin. To be clear, anybody that presses something and then says it's 6-star is not. I would deem it 5-star, the highest. That's just me. True 6-star, which, you know, it was just back in the day and then things have changed, to me is where if you can remove the resin head from the material, dry the resin head, and then create that material that's just so dabbable that it just so clean because there's no contaminant. That is true 6-star.
Well, that's what I would go with probably. If I'm choosing between, I want the cleanest, most purest one.
Everybody does, and then the flavor itself is
right.
is different. And then the next level to when you remove the resin heads is where you can actually press the resin head, and when you do is you're activating the acid format into the more active format of the cannabinoid. So you're removing like the THCA and the CBDA, right? Because remember, you're doing ice water extraction, so none of they haven't been heated up yet. They're still in its purest format. Once you put the fire to it, that's when the chemical component is active and it changes. But if you press it with heat, then it's already active. And then if you put it away for like maybe 5 years and you take it out, then it's going to be a whole different type of flavor.
Wait, I did not know that. What is it, more stronger?
Some people say more stronger. Some people say that there's a flavor that is just unrealistic because you're aging the terpenes, you're aging the resin head like you would if you were to put away wine or cheese, right? Because if you go to the grocery store, you can buy 1-year-old, 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old aged cheese, right? It's the same thing with when you press the resin out and activate it and then put it away. It's the same thing. You can let it age for years, and then when you take it out, it's not going to be the same thing that you would when you first put it away. It's still a virgin.
I heard something. Is it true? Have you heard about the thing where it's like it gets more CBN or something like that? Or
so that's something completely a little bit different. So what that means is basically, let's say if you harvest the plant, right, and you got a bud, right, and instead of you what happens is after time and degradation with heat and with light hitting your flower, it converts your THC to CBN. There's a more conversion of the thing. So you lose your THC degradation and then it becomes CBN. But
CBN is sleep, right?
You can utilize it for sleep. That's where they say it's one of the more relaxed cannabinoid. But you know, to be honest, if the plant is growing, if the resin is wrenched with a more I would say amber to cloudy, normally the effect itself will give you more relax and you're able to sleep. So this is where, you know, I think because of the current market, right? I was talking to a fellow hash maker the other day in an interview, and you know, because there's so much of a demand for the consumer, no one really grows the plant to its full potential. So that is why where you might have said, you know, I'm gonna get this indica, and then you smoke the indica and the indica doesn't do what it's supposed to do because it hasn't really reached the full potential of its age yet. So you're gonna get something that's more speedy. So it's like
greedy. Don't be speedy. Don't be greedy. Let it harvest.
That's it. So at the end of the day, what happens is you get something more racy and you're more up, wondering like, why am I not relaxed even though it says indica on there? Just my thought on that. All right. So thank you so much, man. I guess we're going to make you a solventless guy when it comes to the Terp Nation. Jumping back to you. How are you guys giving back to the community in Boston? Because I'm going to put it on them for right now.
So right now, I would say what they're trying to do, or they're trying to be more, I would say, just like, here's the resources. You know, there is not much, like, it's a very new sort of program, so we're still trying to work out how we can like get to the social media channels, how we can start more events so the community can be involved. But there are opportunities to get involved or learn from other applicants. Like every month we hold cannabis office hours
Okay.
where, applicants are coming in and they're talking about where they are on the process, and anybody can join the room and they can learn just the different segments of where they are, and like everybody's learning together. Or like, there are some retailers there, some growers, so that's a potential relationship. So that's just one of the things, is just offering those office hours and to create transparency and visibility and awareness. So I can send that to you. That's once a month.
Yeah, I'll definitely put that in the description link on that matter as well, man. Thank you so much.
And then in regards to our team, I would say one more thing, because I got to highlight us.
No, this is all about you guys, man. Please highlight it.
Our team, the cannabis team, we're working really hard to try to identify how we can strengthen just the whole Boston Equity program overall. Like, we're working on something, and this is like top secret, not really top secret, but it's still, we're working on it. I'm not sure if you heard of the pre-certification process for delivery.
No, I have not.
So essentially what the Cannabis Control Commission did was, if you qualify as a social equity applicant, then you can have a pre-certification for delivery wholesale operator. The state decided to create this so that the social equity applicant can then take this pre-certification and go to an investor or a landlord and negotiate and let them know, hey, I got this, the state's saying that I'm got this certification, I'm going to be good. And so the city of Boston, we're looking at that and like, how can we apply that to the Boston Equity program?
Nice.
So we're thinking of creating a pre-certification for the Boston Equity program, because currently, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, you can't get in the Boston Equity program until you've submitted an application and you have a site location. You have to have your real estate. That's really expensive, especially for the equity applicants. And so, we're trying to be creative about how we can, best utilize our resources to help people. Gotcha.
So I'm gonna flip it back to you, man. I know I've asked you a lot of questions, but is there a question that I didn't ask that you wanted to get into?
Man, my mind is like all over the place, but because so much stuff going on. We talked about social consumption. We talked about the social equity loan fund on the state level. Talked about City of Boston, and did we talk about NECAN? At least I don't know if we said that before or after the break, but NECAN's coming up. You guys should check that out. I'll be there, and it's really one of the best events to meet so much of the Massachusetts cannabis community.
Nice. All right. And I always try to jump into this, and I haven't done it recently, but with the pandemic, I know that it caused a lot of upheaval for a lot of people, but in turn, what did it do for you? Did it cause any kind of did it create more of a growth for you, or did it slow you down?
I was in it was like danger mode, because it's like at the point when the pandemic hit is when I was still with my nonprofit organization, and we had relied on events for our funding. And so if there's no events, there's no more ability to sustain in that role. And so I had spent a lot of time advocating, and then I don't have any opportunity at that moment, and COVID hit. So I snapped in. I was like, I need to do something. So I joined my cousin's moving company out in California, and just moving houses for like months and months and months. But like, then I saw a job posting for the city of Boston, and then I was like, that's me. That's exactly what
you want to do. Nice.
And so yeah, it was when the pandemic hit, it was just like kind of grind in some survival mode and try to figure out how to make it out of this. And I'm very grateful for how things went, because I was in a really tough spot, and now it's looking a lot better.
Nice, man. I'm glad to hear it. So with that said, what kind of resource would you tell somebody, or not even tell, or maybe would you like to share that has helped you along the way in your journey? What's one of your resources that you go to?
If I could give you my plug, no. Resource, I talked about the social equity program earlier, and in the Boston Equity program. you guys could check out, a community resource we mentioned earlier. There's a group called Big Hope that does expungement resource.
That's good. That's good. That's plenty. I think you've given enough information. I always just want to make sure that there's something that you never know where someone is like, you know what, maybe I do this every day. This is good for me. Like, right. I do a 45-minute walk every day just to clear my head, So it's something that, you never think it's nothing big to you, but it could be big to somebody else. That's all.
I will get back to you on that. That's really good. I'm going to ponder on that. That's a really good question.
Man. Yeah, of course.
Have that in my back pocket.
You should. Hey, you never know. But at the same time, we definitely would love to have you on back again on the Terps of the Beast Coast. I generally always say, hey, we want to have you back on because you're going to be doing some things here at a state level where we're trying to make some bills come alive, and I want to check back in with you to see if those bills are coming back alive.
There's going to be updates, and I want to come back with good news for your audience, for the people who are watching and want to get involved. So,
thanks, man.
From here until then, we just need people to get involved to make that to fruition.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Go ahead. Talk about your plugs. Talk about how they can get involved. Give them your social media channels they can follow. Sure. Please do.
Yeah, you guys can follow me if you're on Instagram at Joey Got a Gram. Like gram of weed, but Instagram, Joey Got a Gram. That is the Instagram. And then my Facebook, you can find me. Gave you my email earlier. It's joseph.gilmore@boston.gov if you have questions about the Boston Equity Program. And then you can check out the Boston Cannabis Board website. That's a very valuable resource if you want to, get in cannabis in Boston. There's tons of links and information there. Boston Cannabis Board website. And any more plugs? You can vote for me for the NECAN Awards. No, I'm just kidding.
No, please do. Tell them, how do they do that?
You just Google NECAN Awards, and then you will. When I think it's gonna go up after the 7th. So next week. Don't worry right now. I didn't say that. Just try to remember for later.
Because I think we're gonna drop your show about the middle of February.
Oh, perfect.
So that'll work out. So you're going to be, they can go where to check out?
If you Google the NECAN Community Awards, I don't know what I'm going to be nominated for, but just vote for me if you see me. Joseph,
there you go. We got you. We got you, man.
Thank you.
So with that, folks, here's what. Right now, I don't have any advertisement. So I need you to either share, like, comment, and subscribe. All right, and I thank you so much for tuning into the Terps of the Beast Coast. Joe, thanks for coming on, man. We'll catch you soon. Y'all the best.
Y'all are the goats, and I really love that y'all support the underground. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Appreciate you, man. Have a great day. Thank you so much.